skill challenge is finally here. Enjoy the lowest profit targets in the industry through our skill challenge, which is only requiring a 6% profit target. Yes, you heard that right. Not only that, but enjoy 85% profit split on your account, as well as a 125% challenge fee refund, all part of the best product on the market. You get to choose your drawdown between 8 to 10% through our toggle option. So choose how much drawdown you'd like. Take advantage of the skill challenge today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to Trader Roundup, where highly tuned, like-minded individuals come together to become 1% better each and every day. Today, we're going to be talking about the state of the industry, and I got none other than Omar, Agag, and UmzieFX joining me. How's it going, guys?
It's going well, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. Umzie, how you been, man?
Been pretty sick, but we good, bro. We good.
Yeah, pretty sick.
Yeah, Miami.
Doing too much travel.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk a little bit about the current state of the industry. There's tons of people out there speculating what's going on. Umzie, you just shared like a little article what's going on with MFF. I know for a lot of people out there, right? Even for me, for you, like the state of the industry, our livelihood really depends on it. And not only ours, but there's tons of people out there that are relying on this industry to make it pass through this current, uncertain stage at the moment, because it's, our main source of income. Like people think we're out here getting paid to do interviews and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely not.
I'm not, I might get reimbursed for the travel. That's about it. You know what I mean? I'm spending my time and my money to travel to do these interviews just to kind of create the brand and grow Trader Roundup, grow my personal brand. My main source of income is from trading and trading prop. So what do you guys think of everything going on? Like, what are you speculating about, or what do you think about all these people speculating on where the industry's heading towards?
Yeah, I mean, Omar, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, look, whenever anything happens in any industry, there's always a lot of people talking negative and positive, right? That's one thing. Let's get that straight first. Another is that everybody sees things a different way. So for me personally, like you just said, prop firms are my bread and butter at the moment. That's how I make my money, right? Like I'm never gonna be like, no, I have a fat personal account. No, like, I'm trading prop firms. I make my money from prop firms. But then there's a lot of people that just come out with, oh, prop firm this, prop firm that. But it's like, end of the day, if you're still getting paid out, like that is the main thing, right? If you're not being paid out, then yes, there's an issue, right? I think one thing recently that's caused a lot of issues within the prop industry is the fact that, the stuff with deal. So ever since the issues occurred with deal, has really messed up things internally for a lot of firms. Like I've spoken with a few of like CEOs as well, and they've been telling me like it's a nightmare, and it's not their fault, it's deal's fault, right? Like let's get that straight, it's deal's fault. They just terminated the contract of all the firms. They could have maybe waited until the end of the month to, let it roll out slowly so that everything could be in check for every firm, But of course they didn't do that. I think overall it's like it is what it is, but you need to make the most of it and understand how you can best maneuver the position you're in at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like as a trader, you just got to adapt and be versatile, right? And firms have to do the same thing. Like for me, I'm just accepting crypto payments now instead of deal. Deal is very convenient because it's all in one place. All my transactions and everything, I actually know where the money's coming from. Like because I'm requesting multiple payouts across multiple firms, now I have to really keep track of what's coming into my crypto wallet because there's no sender on the other end. Like I can't see who's sending me that money. So if I'm getting, one transaction from a certain address, I got to make sure that that amount matches what I requested at all these different firms, right? Like it's not telling me that I'm getting it from the funded trader. It's not telling me I'm getting it from SFT or Bespoke. All those firms, like, yes, it's a little bit more management, but I guess that's kind of just how I have to navigate at the moment. And even with Wise, I think Wise just they just transfer it directly into your bank account, and it just says this payment's from Wise. But you have to go to your Wise account and actually see who it came from.
Yeah, the thing with Wise, I'm hearing there's a lot of issues there as well with the platform itself. You know, for example, I tried to create a business account and they rejected me straight away. You know, I have a personal account with them, but yeah, I'm not planning to use Wise. But I
think you can only have one account, right?
I'm not sure. They just rejected me because I put trading, right? So yeah, maybe that's why. But I think one thing people don't realize as well, right, is that Wise actually have a stake in Deal. So that's interesting that Deal have cut ties and now we've moved to, some people have moved to Wise. Like I don't understand that transition, you know, but yeah.
So also it's one thing to get denied payouts for like malicious reasons. You know, if the firm's doing something shady on the back end, yeah, then it kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but there's a risk in some firms that don't pay out. But then there's also the issue where some people have been breaking rules and stuff, and then they're getting denied payouts. So I'm still planning on doing a video on like all the contracts and what people are actually signing into. And the interesting thing is, there's some firms out there that are structured in a way where you know, it kind of gives the firms a little bit more leeway as far as who can or can't trade on their platforms. I mean, at the end of the day, like you have to follow the rules, right? Like if you're breaking the rules, we can just end this relationship. You know, like listen, if I'm running a business and you're doing arbitrage on my platform or doing whatever, like I don't have to do business with you. That's just how businesses operate in general. So for anybody out there that's like, you know, oh, this firm's not paying me or whatever, doing, you know, there's a bunch of drama going on Twitter. Like, you guys know all about it. But you know, if you're doing something shady and you're getting denied payouts, like, of course they're causing a ruckus on the Twitter sphere. But you kind of have to just just zone everything out and just focus on your trading because I'm still getting payouts, right? You're still getting payouts. Everybody's getting payouts. Like, I've never been flagged or anything. Then nobody sent me an email and been like, "Yo, you're trading kind of shady," because you know I'm just at the end of the day, I'm not breaking any of the rules, right? Because I understand what the rules are.
Yeah, so I think there's two things there, right? Like two ways this goes. One is you actually are doing hella shady shit, like you are, right? And there's
me?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not joking. I'm not you. But in general, like there's a lot of people that are doing shady shit, and then when they get called out on it, they're making a lot of noise, right? And yeah, that's one way. The other one is like someone genuinely might get flagged one or two times, but they're actually not doing anything wrong, you know? Personally, me, like I was flagged once it was called account investigation. I don't know what it was for. And then in the end, it got resolved, right?
Yeah.
So it happens. It doesn't mean it's always true, but what I've seen recently on X is that a lot of people are complaining, and I don't even think they're actually funded with that firm, but they're saying, oh, they're doing this to so-and-so. It's like, okay, but are you even trading with that firm? Why are you giving an opinion on a situation that you're not even in? You know, focus on trading, learn how to trade first before anything.
That's like the same thing with the whole MFF situation. It's like everybody wants to throw their opinion in there and they don't really understand how the business even works, how it operates, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about A book, B book. Who cares if I'm getting A booked or B booked? Like, to be honest, I don't care. What's going on, Kimmel?
What's up, everyone? How are we?
Good.
It's funny. We were just talking about MFF, and then Kimmel popped up out of nowhere.
You heard me.
I was the mole. I was the one that got them fucked up.
Oh man.
No, yeah. So we were just, I mean, we're just pretty much talking about the state of the industry, and like right now, there's a lot of speculation going on, but at the end of the day, you know, everybody's opinion doesn't matter. Like, unless you're in that courtroom or unless you're representing the firm, unless you're representing CFTC, like, we're all just speculating, and it's a huge waste of energy, honestly, at this moment. But from what I've heard, from how these businesses operate, right, a lot of them are just set up like data/software companies, and you're kind of just getting paid for your data. So, I mean, I would like to see some of the contracts like get shored up and tightened up as far as, you know, trading conditions, what you're actually trading. Because FTMOs had the same contract forever. Like, they actually tell you that you're trading a simulated account, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they're paying you for data, things like that. So I would like to see the industry kind of move more towards that, where, you know, the payment terms are, you know, clear for everybody. The conditions are clear for everybody. And yeah, I think going forward, it's really the only way for us to survive is that people know that you're trading on a demo account. And who cares if you're A booked or B booked? Like, even if they tell you you're B booked, like, doesn't really matter. Like,
It
honestly,
doesn't
I've
matter at
traded
all.
my personal accounts right next to my funded accounts. Like, if I'm getting stopped out in my personal account, I'm getting stopped out in all my accounts. So, like, does it really matter if I'm B booked at the end of the day? I think I saw a tweet maybe yesterday. It just matters who's on the other end of your trade. There's always a counterparty on your trade, right? It's either going to be the broker or it's or the market. Right? If you're getting B booked, you're trading against the broker. If you're getting A booked, you're trading against the market. Like, does it really matter though?
Yeah, and you know it's funny. I brought this up one time in one of the YouTube videos that I made in regards to like what Kelly was talking about, like how all the shady stuff about prop firms. But in my opinion, right, the evaluation companies, right, they're essentially they're a lot more transparent than some of the brokers because some of the brokers won't even allow you to kind of get an insight on the business. Now, obviously, there's always going to be bad actors in whatever type of endeavor that there is out there, whether it's in business or whatever. However, like for the most part, specifically the ones on Twitter that have kind of been vocal, they've been very transparent and open about kind of the model. As I mean, some people may have like kind of like stretch the truth a little bit in certain aspects, right? But regardless, for the most part, the owners of these evaluation companies are at the forefront. How many of these brokers do you even know who the owners are, right? Like outside of let's just say a Raja Banks, who like
Mhm.
he's putting his face and his brand out there, representing his broker, right? Outside of him and like maybe a few others, how many people are kind of how many brokers are actually out there, telling people how things work on the back end, putting their kind of reputation on the line, putting
Yeah.
their credibility on the line out there. So at the end of the day, man, people can say what they want in terms of the valuation companies, but it's just, I think it's what Kyle said. There's just so much ignorance and lack of understanding of how even these offshore brokers work, right? The one that's soliciting to the U.S. clients and Canadian residents as well. Like, I don't think these people truly understand, like, if you think that the evaluation companies are shady, right, then they should have that same energy when it comes to some of the unregulated brokers because they operate, as like Kyle said, some of them operate on a B book basis, which you're essentially trading against the broker. Now, again, I'm not going to get into like the whole unregulated offshore brokers where like, obviously sometimes there's a need for B booking and there's a need for A booking. Right. But what about those unregulated brokers that are 100% B book, right? That, they don't have an A book. And then that's also a conflict of interest, but they don't bring that part out. Right. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting, like kind of a dichotomy when you kind of look at how people view two different, again, two completely separate products with the evaluation companies and with some of the offshore brokers, but then they kind of contradict themselves when they talk about transparency and what they want. I also think like this is why I believe either Umzi or Kyle said it. You can't take the opinions of a lot of these guys on Twitter, and that's the one thing about Twitter or X, as it's now known, is like because it's easier to have virality on a tweet. People will think just because someone is like spewing nonsense, but it has a lot of engagement. Oh wow,
Yeah, they think it's all factual, right?
yeah,
Everything that they
a
read.
lot of this stuff, man. Like a lot of these like people, they're just talking out their ass and they don't understand anything. And I see so many facts that quote unquote facts that they're bringing up is just false. It's not even up for debate. It's just straight up false, and it's just mind blowing, man. To see, I understand like the whole MFF situation was like obviously it'll cause some sort of uproar, but to see it to the point where like people are just saying anything nowadays, and like Umzi said, the only people that like I wish there was a way where like you could only unless you actually were using the product, then you'd be able to talk about it. Because how many people are probably spewing nonsense and they've
Yeah.
never used the product?
The interesting thing is that people are calling like prop scams and stuff, but I don't think you have to get back to the root of what the market is. The market takes money from people and gives it to other people. Like they're not generating any value out of it, right? Like you're taking money from a loser and giving it to a winner. That's the market. right? So when people say the props are scams or whatever, they're taking losers' fees. That's exactly what's going on in the market. That's how the financial industry works. They're not creating value, like unless you're buying a stock where the stock is going up as far as like the expected value and things like that. But yeah, essentially you're taking money from somebody else and giving it to somebody, right?
And to Kyle's point, let me just comment on that real quick. Like in terms of the evaluation company and the model, like at the end of the day, like any real evaluation company, like he said it early on, like at the start of this, like you're trying to essentially use data to kind of potentially create some sort of strategies down the line, right? As you accumulate more data. So like people that they don't understand. That's the problem again. They don't understand the end goal. They don't understand all these different components to it. Where like there is an end goal where, hey, you know what? Like if we can, similar to like I've mentioned this so many times on Twitter Spaces, similar to Robinhood. Robinhood, they don't have commissions and it's free. However, the consumer is essentially like the product because they're using their data and then selling it to whatever fund. So again, the whole point of like of an evaluation company is essentially to kind of also figure out flow, figure out trader flow, to try to optimize, hey, is there a way to potentially make some sort of strategy, not necessarily just copy trading, but again, if there's like an aggregate of data that's like, let's just say, for example, a bunch of people, let's just say for someone over here just entered a trade, but like if there's an aggregate of data that you can utilize to create some sort of system or strategy, that's also one of the big goals, because if you can do that, there's a lot of money to be made on the trading side of things. But like Kyle said, there's two separate entities, the evaluation company and then the trading company. The evaluation company is essentially utilized to kind of get that trader flow to try and see, hey, you know what? Is there a way to kind of monetize the data itself? Because again, trader data is very valuable. Robinhood has that similar business model. They just don't charge people up front.
And not only that, but like these prop companies are providing huge leverage or capital to people that actually have the skill set.
Yeah,
whereas,
virtual capital.
Virtual capital. Whereas like, yes, now we're in talks with some hedge funds, and that's just because of our network. They're not scouting us from our performance, right? It's the network that we built. There's people that work at funds, right? And now we can provide them a track record. It's not like, yes, they're not hiring people from prop firms. That's just not the case. Like if you don't have the network, you're not going to get in. And that's how it's always been. Like if we don't like you personally, we're not going to just offer you a trial period, right?
Yeah. The crazy thing is people think like all of this stuff is new. All of these practices have been around for a very, very long time. You know? But then when people start talking online and they don't know what they're talking about, people are like, oh, I've never heard this before, so this is very new, or this is a scam. This is
or is a scam, yeah.
Literally. So I think both you and Omar made some very important points right now regarding like the prop firm model and also brokers in general, right? People acting like brokers are saints. They're angels. No, they're not. They're the biggest thieves out here.
Yeah, Riz talks about it all the time. He had a friend that was, I guess, I think he was in a regulated broker and it shut down. And that guy never got his money back.
Yeah, I think it was, he had 250K in there and he was only protected 50K. And I don't even, if you got that. So,
I mean, that's the risk you take with brokers and exchanges. Like, it's the important part of diversifying. Like, even for me, now that I'm building up my personal account again, I'm not putting all of my liquidity into the brokerage account, right?
It'd be stupid to do that, right? I mean, you gotta diversify your risk.
No, you say that it's stupid to do, but a lot of people just don't know any better.
Yeah, and to like Kyle's point, like again, like this is what's so like this is why it's like it just drives me nuts, man. Sometimes seeing the stuff online because, and I know people are gonna be like, oh well, you obviously have your own evaluation company, so you're biased, guys. I was preaching this last year before we even launched. Mind you, we're only 3 months in, but anyone who's been following me since last year knows I've been a big proponent of the product because it just solves a big issue in terms of a lot of people, they don't have the ability to fund a big account. So if they can use an evaluation company as a way to earn some sort of income, that's just another alternative. And again, not
only that, but like these firms allow you to blow through 10% and then sign up again. Like if you blow through 10%, 20% at a hedge fund, you're going to get fired and you're not going to get another chance. Like,
yeah, man. And it's just the product. I even tweeted like the product. I don't care what people say. It's one of the best alternatives in the modern day trading history. Like, name me a better type of product that people can, you know, utilize their skills to kind of earn some sort of income. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
not
if
out
people
there.
haven't seen it, I think TFT posted a tweet on some of the ROI of some of their traders, right? And it's literally insane. The amount that they spend on challenges versus their return. You know, there's some people that are hitting, 10,000% plus on ROI. It's like madness.
Yeah. But I think just back to Omar's point as well, right? It's like most of the people complaining don't even reach payout. So
Yeah.
it's like why are you creating all this noise online? And that's all
Well,
it
because
is.
they're trying to find blame in something, right?
Yeah.
They're just trying to
But
find
then
blame in something because they're bad at trading.
But then what does that show you? It just shows you insecurity within an individual that they need to go on an online platform to talk a lot of shit, which is completely invalid, just to make themselves feel better. But then you put that out in the space, and we already know that the trading space is very toxic as it is, most of it, right? So all they're doing is adding to that fuel. And what's that going to cause? Just in the end, a massive explosion. Like, that's not what you want to do, you know? Like,
Honestly, it's just the human elements, like fear and greed. They're fearful that, this is a scam. They're never gonna get their money out.
I mean, I've never heard anyone say props are a scam that can trade.
Listen, man, and
No, man. Maybe there's a couple out there, but
But
because they're
that's
breaking
the
rules.
problem is people throw out the word scam, like they're quick to throw it out. Someone might have a delay in payout. Oh, this company's a scam. Oh, my account got flagged. This company's a scam. Like, that's the problem. People just throw it out there. And I'm not saying like all evaluation companies, all brokers are all in good faith. I'm not saying that at all. And there are definitely scams out there, so people should be cautious. But to just be quick to throw anything, like when the deal situation happened, everyone's like, Umzi mentioned it. Like, guys, there's a period of time that might have to require some sort of pivoting, because that was obviously the main way of people, getting their payouts. So like, if there was like a 2-day delay, 3-day delay, or whatever it may be, after that situation kind of just dropped out of nowhere, like it wasn't some sort of like, oh yeah, you guys have 14 days to get off the platform or whatever. It was just kind of happened instant.
Scam, yeah. People just instantly label it a scam when they don't really know, like, what is the, and even for me, like, you're on the inside, so I don't even know what the compliance measures are as far as to get back into compliance. So, like, I'm not even going to talk on it. I'm not going to say that it's a scam or not because I haven't seen the papers on or any emails or anything as far as, these are the requirements that, we have to stay under to be compliant, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we have a whole compliance department as well that deals with it. So again, like it's above my head as well, but it's just seeing the reaction to people. Like, guys, there's going to be a certain pivot that has to occur, obviously, because this was just random. This news just came out of nowhere. And obviously it was the main source of how people were getting paid out. So give it like, just calm down, make sure that like, the company that whatever you're with is addressing it, and then just give them some time. But that's the problem. People lack patience.
Yeah, they have no patience. Kimmel, what's going on, man?
Yeah,
I've been just quietly just listening. I definitely want to hear your takes because you did a ton of research, right? You produced an amazing YouTube series. Just kind of quick overview of the the court case and everything. Like, what do you make of the whole situation?
To me, really, the main thing that people keep on asking me now is like, okay, so what's a safe prop firm out there? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know. If we thought that, like, my Forex funds was obviously the biggest one, and we saw the numbers that they were making, and to me they were the most reliable one. And in fact they were, because if you really think about it, if you were to get like a $1 million payout, they would still have like hundreds of millions to pay you out. So in the sense of, if they were reliable, yes, you would get the payout if they didn't try to slip you. Well, and even then, like, whatever. But I think that now this just really, really gave people the opportunity to blame something for their lack of being a good trader. People are not good traders. And now they have a reason as to why maybe they lost the challenge.
Yeah.
Dude, you weren't slipped 10 or 12%. That doesn't happen. You weren't slipped 10 or 20 or 12%.
Yeah, if you had 4% risk on, then yeah, maybe you're getting slipped 12%. You know what I mean?
And even then,
like, I don't think people that are coming into the prop game now, right, have never traded a live account at a retail brokerage. Like Oanda average spreads, and if you ask most people, unless you're negotiating that spread down, like I'm paying 1.5 pips on Euro USD. So if I get slipped 2 pips, like I'm not gonna like cause a riot over it, right? Like that's just the conditions of a live market.
But think about this too. Maybe people have experience with a broker. So, for example, I have experience with regulated brokers in Europe. And why don't I get hugely slipped? Well, because I don't have a 100K account, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
if
And you're
you're
not putting on
setting
massive size.
exactly, like people need to understand that the overall premise is that there's a book of orders that need to be filled. If you
Yeah,
are setting a zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.5 lot, then obviously
exactly.
you're going to be instantly filled. Like the book is full of
Yeah.
possible counter orders for you. But not if you're setting 100 lots, 200 lots, or even 50. Like,
Yeah, when we sat down with Roy actually from Chart Addicts over dinner in Miami, he was telling us like how I think the founder of Oanda was like one of the first guys that created like the micro lot. So like essentially the micro lot, they're just taking your order and just pairing it with however many other micro lots to get a full standard lot, and then they're placing the order. So it's harder to get slipped on a one standard lot, right? But they're just accumulating all those orders and just filling it all at one price. But
yeah.
yeah, when it comes to people, they don't understand like 10 standard lots is like it's $1 million worth of currency that you have to get filled.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a 0.01 pip, fill on $1 million. Like it's almost impossible on a live market condition.
And you guys both brought up great points about that, right? Like most people, again, it's just they don't understand how markets work. Like again, I was fortunate enough when I first started, I got into equities, so I understood the bid, the ask, because it's not as liquid as forex, right?
Right.
Like, so I had to like learn about spread. I had to learn about slippage. I knew I had like, okay, if I had to get in at this order, I might have to scale in because I might not be able to get. I mean, I wasn't trading big size, but the guys I was following, they couldn't just enter 10,000 shares at a specific price because there has to be orders at that price. But people don't understand that. So when they get like, let's just say some sort of slippage, they automatically just, again, back to our point, they just scream scam. But what they don't also understand is like there has to be, if everyone is on a specific server, and I know people are like, oh, but it's supposed to be virtual and simulation. Yes, but it has to simulate live market conditions.
Yeah.
And
what do you have to say, I guess, towards because I just saw somebody complaining that, why do we have commissions on virtual accounts?
It's to simulate the live market conditions, because that's the whole point. If we are supposed to, as evaluation companies, trying to get trader data, but then we have no commissions, everything is just like complete demo environment.
Yeah, that strategy that might be profitable on a virtual account that has zero commission.
It might not translate well. So then that trader data is then somewhat quote unquote compromised or whatever. So then that trader flow is not going to be beneficial in order to optimize some sort of strategy that possibly using some of the data. So when it comes to that, you have like, again, that's why like that's why it's all there. But also what they don't understand about like Purple Trading or like some of these other brokers, they're putting people on a server and they're also creating kind of like a market similar to their live conditions in order to get order fills, right? So again, best way in order to simulate that live condition, even though obviously it's all demo. But at the end of the day, it's like if you go ahead and throw in a 100 lot or a 50 lot, on a live broker, right? You're going to see that there's going to be some sort of like slippage because your order is not going to be able to get filled at that exact price.
Yeah,
especially
most people don't have enough money in a brokerage to put 100 or 50 lot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta have like 100, 250K even just to place that. I mean, unless you're trading, on a unregulated brokerage that offers like 500 to 1. Well, I'm only speaking from the perspective of as a U.S. citizen because we can really only get access to 50 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most people that go for the 500 to 1, then they're not on a regulated broker. And if the broker goes down, they don't have to pay you anything. Like there's no regulation behind it. It can simply disappear just like my Forex funds. And where's your money now?
Yeah.
So
funny enough, when I used to trade a personal account with IC Markets about two years ago or even 3 years ago, I had 1 to 500 leverage on that account, and I used to just go fully in on that. But I don't think they offer it anymore for like the last year and a half. I think they put a rule in where you can't have that sort of leverage anymore.
What's the best that you can get? Like 1 to 300, maybe?
So yeah, I think so. One of my friends, he has like at the time he had a 500K account, and then they granted him the 1 to 500 leverage, but you have to have a certain sum. If it's less than 500K, they don't give it to you.
Yeah. I just want people to understand, like 500 to 1 or 300 to 1 or even 101 leverage is insane in the business world.
Yeah,
you don't need that much leverage, right? Like when you're buying a home, it's like they're giving you like 10 to 1. You know what I mean? Like you're putting down 10%. They're giving you, what you're putting down 30K, they're giving you 300K, right? It's like a 10 to 1. And at times, like some people are over leveraging with that, right? Like they're buying up all these properties and stuff. And like, even 50 to 1, you could still get on enough position size. Trust me. Like,
I think
most,
that
most of my funded accounts are 1 to 50, I think, or 1 to 30, 1 to 30. Yeah. So
the reality is that most people don't need more than 1 to 50. Like, unless you're trading like with 2 or 3 pip stop loss, which some people do, then sure, fair enough. But if you trade with anything above 10, you don't need more than 1 to 30, 1 to 50. Like right now on IC Market. So IC Market basically has 2 entities. They have the unregulated entity, offshore entity, which is regulated in Australia, which gives you 1 to 500, but doesn't protect you. But then for the EU, you also have the regulated entity that protects 20K of your money, which is not a lot, but still at least it's regulated within the EU. So they can't simply just disappear, obviously.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Give you 1 to 30. Now, with 1 to 30, I think that if you have like 6 figures, if you have proof of funds and all that, they will also negotiate. No, IC Markets doesn't care about you, actually, about negotiations, but there are other brokers that would. IC Markets is just too big to negotiate with you. So,
like, I think Oanda, they insure up to 500K.
Yeah,
for U.S. clients, which is it's big. So
yeah.
As a U.S. client, I have no need to honestly go anywhere else. Like I've been trading with them since the beginning, and I've never had any issues. Their customer support's great. The spreads are not great, but I'm also not scalping. So
yeah, I think one important thing is depending on how you trade, right? So like, for example, if I'm scalping US30, I'm fucked on Oanda, I guess.
Yeah.
No, they don't even.
You can't even trade.
Yeah,
you can't even trade. You can't even trade GFDs.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But to be fair, I feel like the better option though when it comes to that is just trading the futures contract because there's no spread. The commissions are pretty reasonable for the most part across the board. So I feel like the futures
and the margin requirements aren't that terrible, right?
Yeah, like well, it depends on the broker. So like if you go with I believe Tradeovate had like a pretty good margin requirement, so it wasn't too high. But even then, you could always just trade the micro contracts, like the MES versus ES.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, what do you guys see like the industry going forward? Do you think we need to change? Do you think the models need to change? Like, what are your thoughts?
You know, like it's ultimately going to come down to, and everyone already knew, like it's going to come down to like how the regulators are going to view the product ultimately. And, you know, how can the evaluation companies kind of adjust accordingly, right? As long as I feel like the thing is, as long as, you know, the structure is there, as long as like the transparency is there with the companies, you know, that's kind of like what we can do at the current time. But obviously we don't know the future. Like if they come and say, you know what, we don't like this product. And I've said this on multiple occasions. And, you know, let's just say hypothetically, they're like, okay, you know what? We don't want the product in the US. We don't want the product in Canada. So like then there's going to be that pivoting, an adjustment that has to be made. So it's going to be all dependent on what kind of comes out. That's why it's all speculation at this point. People who are like, think this Armageddon, like that's why like they're just kind of jumping the gun.
Yeah. Like, what do you think of the fact that they pushed out the court case and the firms are still operating? I mean, there's a bunch of firms, you know, globally that are still operating, even though the court case is getting pushed out. I think really if they deem the product to be that scammy, they would just shut everyone down. And they definitely know that there's other firms out there. There's no way that they can't, you know?
Yeah. And again, that's why we all just kind of have to wait and see, because it's just how does the case go with MFF? And depending on how the case goes, then it's like, all right, now everyone will get a better idea as the case is going on. Like, oh, okay, they don't, let's just say hypothetically, right? They don't want the product. And we're kind of starting to see like they're leaning towards that side. Now it's up to the companies to kind of adjust. Like, okay, you know what? Either again, just because it's all speculation, kind of have to adjust according to whatever happens. So again, the companies that do have like a good legal team, good legal structure, and are constantly staying up to date with any notices, any changes in the industry, those are going to be the ones that are going to be able to pivot accordingly. So like again, that's why when people are like, oh,
what do you think that pivot looks like? Because for me personally, I would say if a company did have to pivot, like maybe they have to go like the hyper growth scaling model, like what the Fivers are doing, or did. I don't know. I haven't checked at their scaling plan in a while, but like for traders that have a skill set, and let's say if they get completely cut off, but there's still the opportunity to have that type of model, that's something that I would like to see. If it takes you 3, 4, 5 years to scale up to $10 million plus at a specific firm, and now you're actually getting A-booked on real capital, like that's what I would like to see at least. That way, a lot of these firms can weather whatever is going on.
Yeah, that could be one, but again, you have to also remember, even like the Fivers and stuff, and all these. Again, I don't know their business model entirely.
Yeah,
so
we're just speculating here, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I did watch they had like a little interview and stuff like that, like what they were addressing certain situations. But part of it, they were also still making some sort of money on the evaluation side of things as well. That was another source of income that they said. Again, their business is probably entirely different compared to like most of the evaluation companies out there, but they're also still making some sort of money on the evaluations. So nonetheless, and again, if I'm wrong, like I'm pretty sure that's what they were referring to on that interview that they did on their channel. But kind of like moving forward from that, again, like we're kind of at the mercy of the regulators, just waiting to see what currently happens. So again, we're trying to be in compliance. I'm pretty sure other companies out there are trying to be in compliance. And again, it's just better for the industry if there's like a complete rule set and guidelines. Like, hey, this is what we consider, and it's like what Pascal was saying on the interview with Angelo. Everyone kind of wants to be in compliance so that they know how to operate accordingly. And he was speaking regarding to the broker side of things, but even in this new type of product, which is brand new to the industry, everyone who's truly wants to be in the business in the long run, they want to be able to have those guidelines to follow. They want to have those guidelines to understand, hey, what can and what can't we do in terms of like the business ops, and I'm very confident in our team. There's a lot of good teams out there as well with other firms, and other evaluation companies. So, yeah, it's really just a wait and see game, to be honest. Everything in terms of what people are speculating that's all it is. It's just hearsay. It's all speculation until there's further clarification on where this specific niche of the industry will move towards.
Yeah, I think the only thing with the MFF case, right, is that although it will directly impact most of the firms, right, that are gonna actually stick around, I think their case is a bit more complex only because of the whole quote unquote broker situation, because I don't see any other firm having that same, I don't want to say model, but the same sort of infrastructure, let's just say, as MFF. So it'll be interesting to see like what actually happens with not just regulators.
That's the thing. I mean, MFS is like the first case I've actually heard of them actually STPing orders through to the market.
Yeah. So it's one of those cases where you're like, what's actually going to happen? Because it's a lot deeper.
Even though it wasn't a lot, right? Like you have to have license and stuff to be able to STP, right? So if the model requires that firms don't STP any orders, like that's probably the best route to go. Because they were only STPing like, it was on like 100K, like it wasn't even like making a huge difference to the bottom line.
Yeah, I think another thing which someone actually mentioned to me was that the main issue with MFF as well is that they were offering instant funding, and they were actually saying that it's real live capital.
Oh, right.
That's a major red flag because no other prop firm is offering that, to my knowledge, unless maybe there might be some.
I think the Fivers had instant funding, but they're based out of Israel, I believe. Yeah.
Were they actually offering real funding though?
That's what it says. I don't know what their website says now, but it did say instant funding.
Interesting.
Umzie was like, yeah, these guys are gone.
Yeah, no, I think, look, either way, look, just sort of just back to the whole, let's just say, recent events, apart from MFF, but just generally what's happening across the prop industry. I think, look, main thing is keep doing what you're doing, because all you people, not us anyway. I know we're all focusing on our trading and then obviously doing other stuff as well. But like for the majority of people, you should be focusing on your trading. Like, this doesn't change anything for your trading. If anything, you know, it just makes you more aware of how
it made me hungrier. Honestly, I signed up for a couple more accounts like as soon as the court case happened.
There you go.
But like that's because I'm in a financial position to be able to do that. Like most people, if they're like squeezed on finances and stuff, and MFF was like their only thing, of course they're gonna look at it as like a scam, because again, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And like I was like that for a very long time. I just thought the whole market was a scam. Like, just stop putting the blame on somebody else and like just take responsibility for the position that you put yourself in, right? Like if you're struggling and you're putting all your money, your last dollars into these funding accounts, like of course you're going to be operating out of desperation. And when it goes south, you're going to, of course, find somebody to blame for it.
So look, that's one thing, right? Like, okay, like you said, for example, you can afford it, and many people probably can't. Okay, I understand that, but also this is the trading game. Like we're here to trade, so this is the most riskiest business you'll ever enter in your life anyway. So you should already accept what you're getting yourself into. And yes, it's unfortunate that many people across the world can't afford an account or can't afford to fund an account, but it doesn't stop you from acquiring that skill. It doesn't stop you from acquiring that skill. You know, there's people that have had no money. They've learned how to trade, even if it's on a demo, and okay, they didn't make any real money, but then they get real funding from somebody because they're like, oh, you can actually trade, so you can make me some money. How about you trade my funds? There's ways, there's endless opportunities, endless, you know, and I've seen that just in the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, from the get-go, people, like I've always told people that it can't be just good. Like prop firms can't be just amazing. Like when something is good, that means that there's always something to counterbalance it. And so now everyone was going for prop firms thinking, oh, this is perfect, this is perfect, this is perfect. But now you kind of got a taste of what the risks really are with prop firms, which we've always talked about, that they can go under, be it from not being able to pay you out or even regulations. And it's so funny that everyone was calling for regulations, and now everyone is like, oh, what's going to happen now? It's like, oh, you asked for it.
Amazing to see, man.
So now you handle with the consequences. So when people ask me, oh, so what should I do now? What I say is like, okay, think about this. Are prop firms still a good opportunity? Yes. If you are profitable, then you can still buy an account for $100K for $500 and possibly make good money from it. Now you need to understand that most people are going to lose, because that's the trading game in general. With regulated brokers, at least 70% of people fail. So why would prop firms be any different? So that's something to keep in mind. And now people just need to understand that now it's all about risk to reward. Okay, let's say you go for another company and the company does go under. What happens? Okay, maybe you lost a funded account, but if you already got your first profit split, you already got your refund. So now you basically didn't lose anything. You lost the opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
But if you do purchase an account, the risk is still limited. The risk is still limited to how much you are putting in, while the reward is outsized if you are actually a good trader.
Yeah.
So again, people right now need to understand, okay, there are risks, but there are also benefits that can come from this. And you now decide for yourself if you are willing to take that risk or not. Instead of calling everyone else a scam, well, just say, I don't accept the risk and move on. No one cares. The same thing from the other side. If you do still want to go for prop firms because you do see the potential reward, then again, okay, no one really cares. It's you versus you. Like no one's going to applaud you if you go for prop firms, just like no one is going to applaud you if you are going for a broker. Like no one gives a fuck at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you should be skeptical when it comes to financial decision making. Like that's how you make good financial decisions, is if you're skeptical about things and you're weighing the risks out before you just dive head first into something. Like when the '08 housing crash happened, everybody's diving headfirst into these mortgages without even really looking at the numbers, right? And it's the same thing. It's like you have to like do your due diligence when it comes to these prop firms, understand what the product is, what the opportunity is, you know, and measure it up like that. Because me and Paladin both lost our accounts at the prop trading. Like I still had 8K with them that they were supposed to pay me, but I had already made my refund. And that's a risk I was willing to take, even if I didn't get my refund and I lost the $2,000. Like, it's still a $2,000 opportunity that I'd rather take at a prop firm than just putting that $2,000 into my personal account and take 30 years to grow it to 30K, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny that people are like, oh, I'll just grow my personal account. Yeah, sure. Okay, go for it. Like, first of all, it goes back to it. Like, people don't really care. Like, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But think about how long it's going to take without gambling.
US, like short-term capital gains is like 40%. So like if I make 20K, 40% of that's going to the tax guy. So like that compounded growth is much slower than if you're just 1099, and then you're paying your specific tax bracket.
Yeah, but I think even apart from the whole tax thing, right? Obviously, every country is different when it comes to tax on capital gains and everything. I think that the majority of people that will try and build a personal account and try to make some money, which is very, very low compared to how many people would actually make more money trading prop accounts and getting funded.
Yeah, exactly.
Way higher, I think, personally, in terms of monetary value, let's just say, monetary value.
Yeah.
So
like
what do you guys think about because we talked about, I think Pasquale talked about the stats a little bit. I think he said 40% or 40% of retail accounts are profitable. But then when you look at the prop stats, 90% plus 95% are failing. Like, what do you think is the reason for that? In my opinion, it's not slippage.
But let's keep in mind, by the way, let's just keep this in mind. It's 70% on regulated brokers.
Yeah.
We don't have that information on unregulated brokers. So let's think about the difference. Regulated brokers. How many people on Twitter are going for regulated brokers? Not a lot. So most unprofitable traders either go for prop firms or unregulated brokers. Put the stats of unregulated brokers of how many people are blowing the accounts, and then we'll have a term to compare.
Oh, yeah.
True. Yeah, and exactly to Kimmel's point, it's the quality of trader. Because, dude, how many people do you know that are going to go to Wanda? Like, you will go to Wanda, Paladin.
I think those stats are a bit skewed, too, because if one person's profitable, right, they might have 20, 30, 40 accounts that they're all managing separately, and it's kind of skewing the numbers, right?
Yeah, and again, it's to the point of, like Kimmel saying, like, the quality of trader is just different, bro. Like, it's like he said, like, all the people on Twitter and Instagram and these social platforms and the younger generation, they're going to go with these unregulated brokers, and they're going to go with, let's just say, the evaluation companies, because they can see the potential with ROI. With the unregulated, obviously they can get 500 to 1. But the reality comes down to this, right? Like, most people are just undercapitalized, because the people that are well capitalized and people who know what they're doing, they don't mind the 1 to 50 leverage, because first of all, they have the capital backing. And if someone's willing to put, let's just say, 200K in an account, it doesn't mean that they automatically know what they're going to do, what they're doing, but they're going to also kind of they essentially have some sort of understanding if they're going to go through that, You
got to understand the game that you're playing, right? Because I was one of those guys that was putting money into IC Markets 501 leverage and blew every account that I deposited money into.
Yeah, exactly.
But I knew what the risk was. Like, I knew the game that I was playing. If you're playing with fire, right, you're going to get burned.
And ultimately, bro, this whole financial industry, no matter what product, no matter what you're trading, it's all risk. There's always, what was that saying that they always say, that essentially anything and everything can essentially happen in financial markets. Like, and people are in this game and they're like so shocked that, like, oh my God, MFF situation happened, or or like the whole the FTX situation with crypto. Like, I don't think people truly understand.
It's interesting you say that, because, like, for me, it's so easy to spot out people that lack experience just by the way they talk. Like, they talk in definites, right? Like, this market has to do this, it's got to do this. I'm like, it doesn't have to do anything. Like, it could do a completely opposite of what you think it's going to do. And I think that's just complacency and a lack of experience in the financial markets, because the best people, the people that are able to grow their wealth, they're able to measure the downside risk, because their downside risk in everything is not just straight rocket to the moon,
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think like experience is obviously one of the most important things, but it's also that many people just aren't attentive. They're not focused, you know, and then later on they're like, oh, this and that. Especially like going back to just prop firms in general. People don't read their contracts, right? Kyle, you were saying it. Like,
Yeah.
people don't read their contract, and then they start bitching about, oh, I'm not being able. Like, why do you
Yeah.
care? Like, first of all, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you receiving money? First of all, if you actually make profit, right? If you don't even make profit, so you might as well even ignore the whole contract discussion completely.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, right? It's like
And you don't even need to understand the contracts 100% all the way through. Like, just read the. It could be a very basic overview. You know, run it through Chat GPT and ask for like the layman's,
literally, and
you know,
so,
the important points.
yeah. So it comes back to the contract. Okay, many people don't read their contracts. Okay, so now what's happening with a lot of props and has been happening in recent times is props have to be even more transparent than already the contract, because they didn't have to be more transparent. But now I'm seeing in a lot of websites disclaimers everywhere, every page. FAQs are literally telling you what 1+1 is in terms of the contract.
Yeah.
You know, just to baby it
The
down.
thing is, yeah, people just don't do their homework. That's the problem.
They don't. And then it's just, I think it's human nature, right? People like to complain, whether they're right or wrong. They like to complain. They like attention. They like to feel like people are watching them because, you know.
I mean, it's the same people that are going to come into the markets, lose their shirts, and then disappear. You know, it's a market cycle. That's just how the markets operate. There's always new players coming into the game, people that don't know what they're doing, losing their shirts, and then they're gone. You know, it's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, it's also not really about people not doing their homework, because people knew. Like, come on, people that say that they didn't know, they're lying, first of all. And second of all, it's like, as I said in the beginning, people just found a reason to complain now. They just found a reason to now not say, I'm a bad trader. No, they were the problem. They were the ones that were booking me. No.
Yeah.
What are you saying? It's like, again, the profitable, first of all, only the very profitable traders were being slipped to hell, and still they were pissed that they were making money. What does this mean? The best traders, even with slippage, are making more money than the people complaining right now.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. They're not slipping everyone. You know, they were targeting the most profitable accounts.
Yeah, I think one important thing here, is that Kimmel is absolutely right with what he's saying, but let's not disregard that maybe there are some anomalies, some exceptions where people are actually being done in the wrong way. You know,
yes.
Let's say, because I know very, very low percentage, very, very low percentage. But I personally know people that have had to deal with certain situations with.
It was you.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. A certain prop firm, which I won't name, and they were milking the prop firm. So the prop firm basically banned them by accusing them of something, didn't show them proof, and then just said, we can't work with you any longer. And again, this goes back to the contract.
Yeah, it's in the contract. It is in the contract. You know?
They can do whatever the fuck they want, and that's just the fact, you know.
But you know, these companies all have a reason for banning you, right? There's not just, you're not getting banned at every single one just for no reason. Like, I'm almost at every single prop firm. I'm not getting banned. Like, they're always emailing me about anything. You know, if anything, I'm emailing them and telling them like, hey, I can't request my payout or whatever. But like, there's a reason you're getting flagged at all the firms. Like, if you're doing something shady, right?
100%. I was just talking about the very small minority that are actually legit traders. You know, it does happen, but anyway, that's just very, very low.
Yeah, exactly. We know of what, like 3 people maybe that happened to, maybe a bit more.
Maybe
it's below 10, I would say.
Yeah, below 10.
Yeah.
Like, we know thousands of people that are trading prop firms, and 10 had that problem.
Yeah, so very small number. Yeah, very small number.
So this is basically to say, just because you heard Umzi saying that, don't think that that's you.
Yeah.
Because that's just another reason for people to be angry.
I'd be excited to kind of see.
But that's what I was saying is a very small percentage.
Yeah.
But also, these small percentage of people are the ones that are actually taking most of the money out of the prop firms as well. So let's not forget that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I would be
And
excited to see like the traffic in the industry after all this MFF stuff. You know, like before and then after. I wouldn't be surprised if the traffic actually increased.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are saying, like, I've heard it from even some owners, you know, and they're saying like, oh yeah, MFF has gone down, so no one's gonna go with them again. Like, no, if they came back into this space and they were working, I would get funded with them again.
Yeah, I saw my accounts are connected to my trade copier. Like,
You know, like end of the day, if I'm getting paid, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
mentioned this
and
multiple
again-
times. Like the thing with the prop trading is like when they shut down, their brokers went offline and I couldn't connect to my accounts. But MFF, I can still log into my accounts. I can still see that they're there.
Yeah,
I just don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah. Omar, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was gonna say like if they come back, let's just say they had to change a couple of things, got hit with a fine, and they came back, bro. I think that would be such a huge plus. Like I'm not saying that this is gonna happen. But I'm just saying hypothetically speaking, that would have happened. Like if people think that people wouldn't go back with MFF, if anything, they probably get more business because now they've kind of went through the
They've shown like resilience, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, and it'll be a plus for the industry. Like people think all these other evaluation companies, they would want to see MFF downfall. To be honest, if they were to get out of the situation, there was more clarity on on this specific product and things of that nature. That's what people would prefer because now everyone can operate under a specific guideline and understanding of like, hey, this is how we kind of view this product, and this is how to stay in compliance with it. And then, you know, everyone could go ahead, and I guarantee you, then you'll see a huge spike, assuming that were to happen in terms of like people trusting this specific product. So like these people that think this is like all short-term gloom and stuff like that, it may be, but again, if there's some sort of clarity long-term, then the industry can truly grow to its full potential because right now it's still very early on.
Yeah, so you guys have any other closing statements? I think we're going to wrap things up here.
Yeah,
Definitely been an
don't believe
interesting
everything you
discussion.
see on Twitter and social media.
And stop
Yeah.
looking for reasons why you are not successful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great.
Let's talk more action.
Yeah, let's talk more work, right? Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. A huge shout out again to Omar, Skilled Funded Traders, who's sponsoring the stream for Trader Roundup. I don't have an affiliate code yet, but hoping to get one soon for you guys. And just to let everybody know, this is going to be pre-recorded, so we're not doing a Q&A session at the end of this. But you know, if you have any comments, just drop them down in the comment section below, and we'll catch you next time. All right.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Take care. Peace.
skill challenge is finally here. Enjoy the lowest profit targets in the industry through our skill challenge, which is only requiring a 6% profit target. Yes, you heard that right. Not only that, but enjoy 85% profit split on your account, as well as a 125% challenge fee refund, all part of the best product on the market. You get to choose your drawdown between 8 to 10% through our toggle option. So choose how much drawdown you'd like. Take advantage of the skill challenge today.